Now the opportunities here, last year when we were here, we really didn't hear anything about dollars in the district. The only thing we really heard about dollars was that it's a help and a hindrance in that it allows us, because we've always had money, and believe me, you do, compared to a lot of other states. You've always had money, so you could, instead of trying to understand the root cause of something, why something wasn't working well, you could just go buy a new program. And we even heard, remember we heard Flavor of the Month last year. We didn't hear that so much this year. But you could go buy another program. You could hire another person. You really didn't have too many restrictions. But now, the tide has changed on that a little bit. We've brought dollars to the forefront, and we heard that. We may have to cut some cost, is what we continually heard. So then when that conversation erupted or came open, what we heard is about all the wastefulness, funds being used inefficiently. And let me give you some examples of what the kinds of things we heard. We heard about laptops. And oh, by the way, that's also an inequity because we have the haves and the have-nots. We heard about football fields. We heard about lockers. We heard, I could go on and on with some of the things we heard about. And so now if you're gonna, as people were saying, if they're gonna look at me and what I do in the district, then let's open it up and let's everybody be a part of that. Not just at the school level, but let's look at central services too. And we heard in probably every or most meetings about the moves that are going on as we speak in central services. I even had people say we don't really understand them. So there are those kinds of things going on in the district that we need to be aware of, talk about, and sort through as we start having to really think better, or more, I should say, about our dollars in the district. Okay, so we heard a lot about that. And then let me talk a little bit more about the efficient and effective processes, or the inefficiencies that are occurring right now. There are obviously processes in place because we all have a process we go through to get our work done every day. What we haven't done is look at those processes to see where those inefficiencies are. Those cycle time issues, or do they really need to go to this person, or could we cut that step out? So that hasn't been done. And then the processes that are in place that some folks are trying to function under, people go around. They bypass the process and go to a manager or a supervisor, or they go around the process if they really want to get something done. Or they have processes in place that people just choose not to follow. They're going to do it their way. So when I said to you when we started this section of the report out, this is a huge opportunity for the district. Because if we could lay out some of those processes and understand how the work flows through here, we could become a lot more efficient and effective. So again, we didn't hear a lot about the inequities and the inefficiencies last year, but I think what has driven that, and one of the words you saw on the document was wasteful. We had a lot of conversations about from where different people sit in this district, what they thought was wasteful. So another opportunity for us to focus on. And the last section, accountability. The data that's being used, I mentioned it a minute ago, and while people are in different places with the data, they are using the data to drive some intervention, to to really have some conversations around the students is where we heard it primarily used. Not so much on the operational side, but on the student side. And we heard that if they didn't have data, that they could get it in user-friendly formats, and it would be in a quick and timely manner. Now the opportunities here are, let me stick with data for a minute. The last bullet is the operational data. We're always interested, as we focus on a system, to see what kind of data is being collected, but that's not enough. It's great to collect data, and most organizations I work with are data rich and information poor. So we collect a lot of things, but we don't always use that data. And the things that we heard from the operations side of the house is, yes, I collect it, and I know some of it is being reported to the state or to the feds, or it has to be collected for reporting compliance purposes. But there's also a lot of data that can be collected to support the system, how this system runs. So we'll know if we're doing the right things or the wrong things, and we can course correct along the way. We're not having to just go along for a year because we put this plan in place without reviewing our progress along the way. And so we need data to help us do that. So it's happening, but not being used so much. And then the top bullet up there, the district is working to provide the strategic direction and accountability models, but we're not there yet. And some folks think there's no accountability across the system, and in some cases, from what I heard, I would tend to agree, we want to be held accountable. Joel's being held accountable by the board. So we need to all be accountable for what we do to support the system. And that's the feedback that we got. The non-negotiables, put those in place and then hold us accountable to those. The way we behave, the core values, we've got those now. Let's be held accountable to those. Let's all model that. So those are the kinds of things that have been put in place, and we need to all rally around or start to look at. As I said to you earlier, this is a lot. This is a lot, but it's not that we can't do it. And always keep in mind as you get frustrated, because it is a frustrating process. We're going to have to change. We're going to have to be taken out of our comfort zone, right? And so things don't feel quite as good as if we continue to do the things the way we've always done them. And keep in mind, as you start this journey, you're probably going to go this way before you go this way. And that can be frustrating. And also keep in mind, you have so many good things happening in this district. If we could get the processes or the systems in place to support those things, then we can all be benefactors of those. It's been a fun week. It's been exciting to be able to talk to and hear from so many people. I'm open to if you have questions or however you want to proceed from here.